its fuel consumption tax reduction until December due to rising concerns about inflation triggered by the clashes between Israel and Hamas. The administration had implemented a 25% reduction on gasoline consumption and a 37% reduction on diesel consumption, which were originally set to end by October's end. Last Friday, there was a significant increase in oil prices as investors remained wary due to the intensifying geopolitical unrest in the Middle East. Later this week, a U.S. strategic bomber, the B-52, is scheduled to arrive at a South Korean air base, as indicated by several sources today. This move serves as a display of power in response to North Korea's ongoing missile and nuclear threats. B-52s can carry nuclear weapons which have flown over the Korean peninsula during joint exercises between South Korea and the U.S. However, this would be the first time the bomber is scheduled to land at a South Korean base. The deployment of the B-52 underscores the U.S.'s dedication to regularly showcase its strategic presence in the area, especially given the rising concerns about North Korea's expanding nuclear capabilities and its intention to launch another military spy satellite this month, following 2 unsuccessful attempts earlier this year. In local news, the Busan Subway Union said today that they will hold a temporary delegates meeting on the 18th to vote on the ratification of a tentative agreement between the labor and the management. The union will convene the temporary delegates meeting at 9 a.m. in the conference room of the Nopo Vehicle Base in Kumjeonggu, Busan. At the meeting, the delegates will vote on matters related to the tentative agreement, which includes a 1.7% wage increase, a re-evaluation of structural adjustments, promoting autonomous agreements between labor and management regarding performance-based bonuses, and adding 6 safety personnel. On the 16th, Busan City announced that the Hammaum Sports Center in Busan was selected as the best facility in the 2023 Excellent Facilities for the Disabled and Disabled-Friendly Facility Selection Evaluation, organized by the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism. Out of 77 national facilities for the disabled, the Hammaum Sports Center in Busan received the highest ratings in various criteria, including the operation of programs for the disabled, convenience for the disabled, safety, and the use of sports course vouchers for the disabled. Local low-cost carrier Air Busan announced that it would be the first domestic airline to operate regular flights between Busan and Matsuyama. Starting from next month on the 10th, Air Busan will fly this route 3 times a week, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Flights depart from Gimhae International Airport at 3:15 p.m. and arrive at Matsuyama Airport at 4:20 p.m. In international news, Western Afghanistan experienced another earthquake following 2 recent significant tremors that resulted in the death of over 1,000 individuals. The U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, reported a 6.3 magnitude quake occurring near the city of Herat with a depth of about 6.3 kilometers. Local health officials have confirmed at least 1 fatality, with approximately 100 injured individuals receiving treatment in a regional hospital, as reported by the World Health Organization. The UN's Children's Agency UNICEF revealed that the majority, over 90% of the victims from the previous quakes, were women and children. At 35 years of age, entrepreneur Daniel Noboa is said to be the youngest president in the history of Ecuador. With 52.3% of the vote, Noboa emerged victorious in Sunday's election local time, surpassing Luisa Gonzalez, 47.7%. After the results, Gonzalez acknowledged her defeat and extended her congratulations to him, Daniel Noboa, representing the National Democratic Action Party, is a son of Alvaro Noboa, who made 5 unsuccessful attempts at the presidency. And now taking a quick look at the weather, it's currently 22 degrees Celsius in Busan City. Fine dust levels and ultrafine dust levels are colored green for normal. And that wraps up for this hour's news. Thank you for joining us. You're listening to BEFM 부산영어방송.
Your best choice. BEFM 부산영어방송.
Coming up next is Steve Hatherly Reboot. BEFM 부산영어방송.
What you're about to hear is amazing. That's because you're locked in to Busan's #1 English radio station. Whether you're at home, at work, or driving in your car, you will be exposed to radio excellence. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show because it starts right now.
The most successful marketing campaign in the history of the world is considered to be the campaign for diamonds. It successfully convinced us that we should spend 3 months' salary on one diamond to propose to the one that we love because, well, diamonds are a girl's best friend. But did you know that there is a place where it literally rains diamonds? I'll tell you about that today. It's Monday, October 16th, 2023. I'm Steve Hatherly. This is Steve Hatherly Reboot. Let's go. That was Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, the Swing Cats remix on the Marilyn Monroe tune. That song was written for the Broadway production of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and was first performed by Carol Channing back in 1949. Wow. The most iconic performance of Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend is undoubtedly, though, Marilyn Monroe's in the 1953 film version of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. As Playgirl Lorelei Lee, Marilyn created an indelible image where she was draped in pink satin and diamonds surrounded by a group of dapper suitors. I think we've all seen that image. And didn't Madonna recreate that scene for a music video in the 1980s as well, where she was dressed in a pink satin dress and had lots of diamonds on and lots of handsome gentlemen surrounding her and carrying her around the stage? I remember that. I forget what song that was for, though. If you happen to remember, please feel free to let me know. The Swing Cats remix of that song came out in 2009, FYI. That got us going today. We are live in the studio from Busan on this Monday afternoon. Welcome to the show, everyone. You're listening to us on BEFM 90.5 in Busan and 103.3 FM in the Gijang, Zhongguan, and Noksan areas. In Seoul on TBS EFM 101.3 and in Gwangju on GFN 98.7. Thank you very much for being with us to kick off your work week. Did you have a good weekend? Oh, the weather was gorgeous yesterday. My wife and I, we went for a drive over to Yeongdo, which is the island located near the, forgive me if I'm wrong, the Busan Daegyo, I think. Napidi, am I correct? Yeongdo is next to Busan Daegyo, I think. It's next to the Busan port. That much I know because I kept looking at the Busan port, the huge Busan port. And of course, it's an island, Yeongdo, so it's surrounded by the ocean as well. Wow, it's really beautiful over there. I think Jimmy brought in the topic of Yeongdo for us on a Wednesday afternoon for Bring on Busan. And it was my first time to get over there. And now having listened to Jimmy's description and remembering the questions that I asked when Jimmy was talking about it, I kind of felt stupid yesterday because I remember asking Jimmy, oh, okay, so when you go to Yeongdo, like, do you just park your car and walk around? Because I had this idea in my mind that maybe Yeongdo was a tiny island, because when I hear the word island, for some reason, I just think small. Obviously, that's not always the case at all. And it's definitely not the case for Yeongdo. That place is huge. As a matter of fact, we were on the island. And then I asked my wife, when do we get to Yeongdo? It says, the GPS says we're like really close. And she says, we're on the island now. I didn't even notice that we passed over the bridge onto the island. So it's very, 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 very close to the mainland. It's literally right next to it. It's a huge place. One side of the island is, I'm not good with northeast, southwest. I'm not so good with directions like that. But one side of the island is very picturesque, tall cliffs. You can see out into the ocean. You can see the other smaller islands there, and the fishing boats are right there. So it's perfect for Insta. They have little walking paths, too, along the ocean, which looks really pretty. And then you can drive, I guess you can drive the majority of the way around the island if you want to. But you can cut through the middle, and there's kind of like a small town in the middle. And then you can drive to the other side, and the other side is where you'll see the Busan port, which is really kind of cool because it's so huge, right? And we parked the car there, and there was some sort of bridge festival going on. And from what we could understand, there's a new bridge opening, but don't quote me on any of that information. It was a bridge festival, that's for sure. And I think it was for the opening of a new bridge, but I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, there were tons of kids out there. It was like in a little park next to the university area. And it was a great day. It was just a really wonderful day. If you come to Busan, and I would say if you have a car, then I would recommend bringing that as opposed to maybe taking a bus around the island because, as I mentioned, it is quite huge. But yeah, it's definitely a fun way to spend an afternoon, especially when the weather is as good as it has been. Anyway, that's a little snippet from my weekend. I hope you had a good one as well. Feel free to send me a message and let me know what you did. And now let's get into the program. go on over to YouTube. First up, a little note on that. Go to youtube.com and search BEFM or Busan영어방송 in Korean. You can watch our live stream there until the songs start to play. After the songs start to play, the music will fade out. At that point, open up your BEFM app or switch on over to FM radio to hear the music. The reason for that inconvenience is because of music copyright issues. Hopefully we'll have that sorted at some point in the future, but we don't know when that will be. So for now, that's the way we have to do it, and we appreciate your patience there. All right, so coming up in the first hour of the program today, we'll kick things off with Hot Off the Press, where you'll check out some of the newest, hottest tracks from the world of music. A lot of songs are released every single week. We pick out a couple each day that we hope that you'll really enjoy. A little info about the artist and a little bit of info about the song as well. Then after that, Casey will be in the studio for today's Need to Know. Casey will bring us some under-the-radar stories from outside of the mainstream media, but of course still important for us to know about. He'll stay with me for what remains of the first hour. Then in hour number 2 for our fun fact of the day. Now, this is what I thought was interesting. And we talked about diamonds in the opening of the program. And they say, did you know about that? Have you heard about that? That they say that the marketing campaign for diamonds is the most successful marketing campaign for any product in the history of marketing. It really did a great job of convincing us that diamonds are these precious, rare, expensive stones that we need to be spending a lot of money on, that if we propose, it has to be with a diamond. Why? Why does it have to be with a diamond? Well, it doesn't. But that marketing campaign successfully convinced the world that that's exactly what we need to be doing. Well, it's not exactly close to home, but there is a place where diamonds rain down. I'm not going to tell you where that is just yet. And if you're looking out the window, no matter where you are in the world, if you look out the window, you're not going to see it. You're going to need to have a telescope, a strong telescope at that, in order to see this place or these places. That'll be our fun fact of the day. I'll keep it a little bit of a secret for now. Then in hour number 2, for me, myself, and I have a story about treat culture. I think it was last week on the show when I was asking you about luxury. When you wanted to treat yourself to a little bit of luxury, what is it that you do? What is it that you buy? It's going to be a little bit similar this week, but also yet a little bit different. We'll talk about treat culture and why indulging in small, affordable pleasures can help you get through a tough time. I'm not talking about spending a lot of money on 5-star hotel suites. No, that was last week's topic, right? No, I'm talking about little tiny inexpensive things that you can treat yourself to help you get through a hard time. There's some science behind that theory that says that it really, really works. So we'll talk about that through me, myself, and I. Then we'll have Today in Music. We'll find out what happened in today's music history, and I will check your messages throughout the program as well. I want to say hello to Dotarin Nim on our YouTube chat, who is saying hello for the first time. Oh, welcome to the show. Is it your first time to listen to the show, I wonder, or is it just your first time to send a message? Regardless, thank you for it. I hope you can be a daily participant in our YouTube chat. Hello to Nur, who's out there listening. Hello to Umberto as well. All right, let's get to our question of the day. So related, right, to me, myself, and I, to treat culture. Last week, I asked you about your luxurious treats for yourself. But today, I want to know about your inexpensive treats. When you want to give yourself a little tiny treat, then what do you eat? Or what do you buy? Or where do you go? Or what do you do? 스스로를 대접하고 싶을 때 어떤 것을 먹나요? In Korean, we focused on the eating part. I figured maybe that'll get the most answers today because everybody turns to food when they want to treat themselves. So yes, you can definitely answer the food way, but feel free to answer another way as well. Once again, when you want to give yourself a treat, what do you eat? Text me, # 9050. That's on your cell phone for 101. Add us on Kakao Talk for free and send messages for free by searching BEFM BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean. That's a great way to get in touch because it doesn't cost you anything. Same search on your smartphone. You can download the app from any of the app stores. You can listen to our programs there and leave us a comment after logging in. We'll take a break and be right back with today's Hot Off the Press after Imagine Dragons Radioactive. That was Imagine Dragons Radioactive. We're back, and it's time for today's Hot Off the Press, where from Monday to Friday we bring you two of the newest, hottest tracks from the world of music. And a lot of songs are released every week, and we pick out a couple each day that we hope that you'll really, really like. Let's start today with a new one from Ed Sheeran. It's called American Town. Ed Sheeran recorded this song for Autumn Variations album, his first record to evoke the feeling of a specific season. It was inspired in part by the warm and intimate moments that he experienced at home with his wife and two daughters. He said, "Me and my wife cook a lot, and we always put on the same sort of records. Nora Jones's Come Away With Me or Jack Johnson's In Between Dreams. That was very much wanting to go in and create an autumnal feeling of 14 stories about my friends." After that, we'll hear the new one from Sugar Babes, When the Rain Comes. Award-winning multi-platinum selling music icon icon Sugar Babes have released their surprise new single. It's called When the Rain Comes, and it comes 10 years after the release of their latest single, Flatline. When the Rain Comes is a special release from the band as a thank you to their fans. They said this: "We loved being back in the studio and writing this song this summer, and it feels like the perfect song to release to coincide with our biggest headline show to date. This song is a celebration of the people in our lives who stand by us and lift us up through the good and bad times." Sounds like a nice message from that tune. Here we go with our two tracks for Hot Off the Press today. New from Ed Sheeran, American Town, then new from the Sugar Babes, When the Rain Comes.
We were a long way from home.
Those were our two tracks for Hot Off the Press today. The Sugar Babes' new tune, When the Rain Comes, and before that, the new song from Ed Sheeran, American Town. Question of the day today. This is what I want to know. When you give yourself, or when you want to give yourself a little tiny treat, just a little tiny treat. I'm curious, what do you do, or what do you eat, or where do you go? 스스로를 대접하고 싶을 때 어떤 것을 먹나요? 어디로 가요? 뭐 하세요? When you want to give yourself a little tiny treat. 4567님 texted in and said, 반신욕. Now, Na PD had to explain this to me. It means like a half bath, and then you're showing me some pictures on the internet, Na PD. I've never heard of this before. So not like a full 목욕탕, just in a bathtub, I guess. So if you just go into a bathtub, that's called like 반신욕. Oh, okay, because when you sit in a bathtub, your upper body tends to be above the water. Oh, so you take a nice hot bath, I guess, when you want to treat yourself. That's nice. You know, maybe a few candles, maybe a half a glass of wine, turn on some nice music, lower the lights, of course, if you've got the candles in there. It can be very relaxing. May I recommend this? Do that with a nice Aaron Sorkin drama. It's a great match for some reason. I don't do it anymore, but I used to take a bath with some candles and watch an Aaron Sorkin drama, and I would stay in there for like 2-3 episodes at a time. I have no idea why they match so well. Maybe it's so dialogue heavy and so witty that it just works out, at least for me. Thanks for the message, 4567님. 7797님 says it's, or when I take my annual leave, I'm on annual leave, and I just had some 장어, which is a treat for us. With my wife, I had that food. Some eel. Very nice. I'm not so much of a fan of eel. I have to try the other one. We went down to the ocean and had some eel, and I know that there are two different types. One is the freshwater and one is the ocean water. I don't know what I had. The thick, chunky one. That's what we had. I don't know if that's fresh or ocean water, but I didn't love that one, so I'm going to try the other one next time. But I hope you enjoyed that treat with your wife. That's exactly what I'm talking about today. When you want to have a little treat, what do you eat? Where do you go? What do you do? 스스로를 대접하고 싶을 때 어떤 것을 먹나요? Text me, #9050. That will cost you 100 won. Add us on Kakao Talk for free and send messages for free by searching BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean. Same search on your smartphone. You can download the app from any of the app stores. You can listen to our programs there and leave us some comments after logging in. Casey's here, it's news time.
Yeah, my new theme song.
No, you're supposed to sing the second part.
Oh, am I? It's need to know. Too late?
That was very much unscripted. How you doing, Casey? It's good to see you. Always good to see you.
Good to be here.
Enjoying that gorgeous weather outside?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, amazing, huh? How about you, Casey? When you want to treat yourself, just a little tiny treat, what do you eat, or where do you go? What do you do?
This is going to sound a little goofy, but you just mentioned like the good weather. This kind of weather, I like to go for like a motorcycle ride that's aimless, without purpose. That feels like rewarding myself. Like I don't have to go to work. I don't have to go home. Just I'm like, I want to go this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No GPS.
No.
Just follow that road and see where it takes you.
Yeah, and there's a tiny segment near my house that goes like from Oryokdo to like Shinseondae Pier. And it's just like a nice view. You can see like Daemado on a clear day. It's like a nice ride, like a 5-minute ride perhaps. But it's just like, I'm going to treat myself to a ride.
No, and people who ride motorcycles completely understand what you're talking about. People who don't ride motorcycles might not get it.
Right.
But there's something romantic about being on the road. There's no separation between the vehicle and nature. Nature being the pavement, which is not truly nature.
Not quite nature, but yeah, basically.
It's on nature, if that works. works.
It's ruining nature in some way, I'm sure. But
I used to have a motorcycle. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. It's time for Need to Know. You're here to give us some stories that might fly under the radar of mainstream media, but we still have to know about. So what are we talking about today?
all right, we're going to talk about AI, and I think AI is not under the radar at all. I think it's overly in the news, and a lot of times it's like kind of, exciting developments, sometimes frightening. Are you feeling kind of either way about it?
I mean, I feel like we shouldn't be doing this, and I don't say that with any sort of conviction per se, but I just feel like every time we're creating something new AI-based, we're taking something away from ourselves potentially.
Understood. Like kind of ruining human possibility in a way?
Yeah, somehow, some way. It's cool. There's no question about that. It's always cool, but at the same time, I'm just wondering if we should be toying with this as much as we are.
Well, you know what? And that's what a lot of people are questioning. So a lot of times I think the headlines about AI are very kind of extreme and, either like something that's revolutionary or something that's completely frightening. But here, I think this is something that's good news. And actually, both stories today I'm going to talk about are ways that AI can change both the future, which people usually focus on, but also the past, which is kind of weird.
Can change the past.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about like making some new Beatles song that never existed. That gets a lot of press as well. But actually, this came out last week, and this was in Popular Science magazine. AI revealed the colorful first word of an ancient scroll torched by Mount Vesuvius, and that's a quite a long headline there. So I'm going to break it down a little bit. Mount Vesuvius, are you familiar with?
Yeah, I mean, not an expert.
Okay, me neither.
By any stretch.
It's kind of famous.
It erupted like a long time ago, right?
Right. The famous one is 79 CE, or you might know that as AD. And that destroyed Pompeii, as well as Herculaneum, the lesser-known sibling of the volcano explosion. So basically, like what happened was there was a lot of history, recorded history, in paper form, papyrus form, probably actually. And that was in those cities. It got buried. It got burnt. And so, like, what are you going to do with it, right? Well, people actually were able to excavate it in as far back as 1752.
Wow.
And they got 800 of these like carbonized scrolls. So there's just like, it looks like a log actually. It's like a twisted log or perhaps something that a dog left behind.
Almost fossilized.
It is. It's exactly. So you can't open it because if you open it, it'll just turn to ash, right? So they've actually been working on this for a long time about, how can we use this? There's something in here that could be amazing to find out. So there's something called the Vesuvius Challenge. And it's basically this contest that's been going on for a while, and it's based mostly on machine learning, but you can actually participate this in any form you want to. But the idea is they want people to participate to decode these physically inaccessible scrolls. So they had a major announcement last week on October 12th. They said, according to the organizers, an AI program actually uncovered the first legible word in one of these relics. After they analyzed it and identified, they had to use these like unbelievably tiny residual ink elements of the scroll.
Wow.
So the word they came up with is, here's my best Greek, porphyras.
Porphyras.
Yes. Any idea what that might be?
I have no idea. Porphyras.
Yeah.
How were they able to decipher? I mean, well, first of all, what does that word mean? Do they know?
Purple.
Oh.
It's the color purple, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is like, people might be like, oh, that's kind of let down.
Yeah.
It's okay, why purple? But actually, the reason that they're kind of excited about this is because purple is actually not mentioned much back in history at that time. And we're talking.
The color purple may not have existed. Well, it would have existed in certain fruits or vegetables.
Sure.
But maybe not in clothing or anything like that. Maybe they didn't know how to create that dye.
That's actually, it was really like famously hard to create. They mentioned this in the article that I read that Pliny the Elder, which is a historian from way back when, he wrote his own natural history of that time, and he described the actual production process for what they called Tyrian purple, which is actually made from ground up shellfish.
Okay.
It was extremely hard to make the color purple. Thus, it was very expensive.
And it would have been only for the upper class.
You got it. So if you ever see like purple like an old painting, somebody paid a lot of money for that.
They were rich.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So there's a lot of like context to the color purple from that time.
How did they, going back to the question I was going to ask you before, these are fossilized scrolls.
Right.
So So AI or no AI, you can't open it. So
Right.
they figured out how to see through it somehow?
Yeah, well, X-rays, basically X-rays, high-powered X-rays. So the University of Kentucky is heavily involved with this. A professor there named Brent Seals, and he's been in the news about this, so he's talking a lot about it. But basically, back in 2019, they used their lab at the University of Kentucky to generate 3D CT scans at like very, very high resolution. It's a number that I don't understand. It's got one of those kind of numbers with it.
I wonder what the next word was.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what they're working on. So this is...
Right. And 10 years later, we'll have the answer.
Well, hopefully the plan is by December 31st.
Okay.
They will award a 700,000 grand prize for the Vesuvius Challenge to any team or individual, I assume, as well, if they can actually be able to read 4 passages of text inside one of these scrolls.
That's right. You mentioned this is a contest. Wow, that's a huge grand prize.
That's pretty good, right?
So why is this significant, then, I wonder? It seems like something that people might do for fun, but there's got to be more of a reason to try to uncover this, I would think.
Yeah, so one thing that they did mention is like the 2 scrolls that they did these CT scans of, they were part of a larger library amassed by a kind of famous philosopher named Philodemus. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. But basically, there's no telling what kinds of wealths of information are in this library. And they said, one papyrus expert actually told the New York Times about it and said, recovering this kind of library would transform our knowledge of the ancient world in ways we can even hardly imagine. So it would just be kind of... we always speculate about history and film and art and literature. There's always kind of guessing what happened at that time. But this would be like kind of a way more accurate representation of what was going on.
Pretty cool, huh? Pretty
Right?
cool use of AI, that's for sure. All right, we're talking about Under the Radar News with Casey, and we'll hear about another story when we come back. This is Pat Benatar. Hit me with your best shot. That was Pat Benatar, Hit Me With Your Best Shot. And with Casey in today's Need to Know, we're talking about maybe some under-the-radar AI stories. We hear about it a lot, use in restaurants and hotels these days with robots. And there was a story from Seoul where a robot conductor... Did you see that story where, like, the robot conducted the symphony orchestra?
Right.
Or something for a few songs. So we're seeing AI, we're seeing robots a lot in the major headlines, but these are some of the under-the-radar stories.
That's right.
What's the next one?
Well, this one, the one I mentioned before was really about kind of reevaluating and changing our past with AI and perhaps giving students more history they have to read in high school, unfortunately for them. But this is kind of more about changing the future or perhaps the present as well. And this story is all about how AI was able to design a walking robot, but it's not quite what you would expect for robot design. Have you seen, there's a famous video clip of a robot dancing to the same song from Dirty Dancing. Do You Love Me? There's a famous video of this. And it's, like a lot of robots that can walk, they kind of are based on human models, right?
Sure.
So this guy named Sam Kriegman, he's at Northwestern University, and him and his colleagues, they've actually been in the news a couple times. A few years ago, they made something called Xenobots, which are synthetic robots designed, again, by AI, but also built from biological tissue samples.
Oh, my gosh. I'm watching a drama these days.
Gross, right?
What's it called? It's on the Fruit Company Plus app.
Okay.
And it's about aliens that invade Earth, but they're synthetic.
Okay.
They can move they don't have any form, per se.
Oh, wow.
This is freaking me out a little bit all of a sudden. And these are called Xenobots?
Yeah.
Same kind of idea? They're just squishy little blobs and they can move by themselves?
Well, these Xenobots were kind of like, I actually don't remember seeing a picture. I remember reading this in the news a couple of years back, but they are, I think the big thing was that they're partially made with biological tissue. So people are like, are those indeed robots? Oh. But that guy, he's already moved on to something else. So basically what he wanted to do this time was, he wanted to kind of use AI and design, but kind of forego evolution and try to come up with new designs for robots.
Okay.
So basically, they've had a release in the Proceedings of the National Journal of Science earlier this month. And all they did is they had this AI model that they wanted to just design a robot capable of walking across a flat surface. Very simple task. So the program ended up delivering them something that looks like nothing, as Kriegman says, looks like nothing on like any animal that has ever walked the earth. So there's a video that accompanies this, and you can see this very easily. It's a purple blob, as that's often described. And I brought a clip so we can kind of listen to him explain his process.
Okay, let's hear it.
Shall we take a listen?
This little purple robot was designed in seconds from scratch using AI. It's a process that I like to call instant evolution. The rules of evolution have remained fixed. Whether you were a bacterium or a monkey, you evolved at a snail's pace. This is because evolution has no foresight. It cannot see ahead of time if a mutation will be beneficial or catastrophic. What we discovered is a way to remove the blindfold and thereby compress billions of years of evolution into an instant.
So this moving piece of
blobbery
blob
yes
was created in no time.
In 26, what do they say, 26 seconds? Yeah. So actually within that span of time too, the actual AI program created 9 designs in total and then was like, well, this is the best out of the bunch. So what's amazing about this, and you can see it as it goes there in the video.
It's like it's breathing. It's like it's a heart. So it's pulsating.
Right. So this is all according to the AI model design, right? So what the AI decided to do was make it pneumatic. So what they're using there is like air. So they're pumping air in and out of it to make it move. Okay. So that's the motor function that it has. And then AI decided like, you know what? In 26 seconds is like, I guess having legs is the best way to move. Which is something that took...
This is what I'm talking about.
This is the dangerous part?
This is why we don't need AI making decisions on what possibly sentient beings, how many legs they need to have to eradicate humans from planet Earth. I don't like this. There's no reason to do this, is there?
Well, okay. That's a very fair question. According to Mr. Kriegman, who's at the university, he says this could. So basically, we're breaking free of like evolutionary design constraints that we kind of focus on, that we kind of like can't get ourselves out of, right?
Okay.
You think of like anything that we design, we kind of base it on something we've seen in nature before or something we know and understand.
Something that's comfortable for us as human beings, something that doesn't freak us out too much.
That's a big part of that too, I think. So basically using this kind of AI modeling he says like takes the blindfolds off and lets AI just kind of run rampant with like what is the best design.
Yeah, but let's not do that. Let's not let AI run rampant with its own designs. This is the part that makes me feel uncomfortable.
Understood.
I'm not shooting the messenger here.
Please don't.
Do you not agree with me, though? This is where we get into the slippery slope of stuff, don't we?
Well, it depends. It depends on like what particular problem-solving design you want. So he mentions like medical design, for example. That could be some kind of breakthrough for humanity in a way that we just can't foresee, where AI might be like, oh, for this kind of particular type of surgery, for example, or for prosthetic design or something like that.
Or it could be weaponized.
Could be.
Right.
And and they do mention space-based tasks. You know, hopefully, my hope for the future is that humanity will learn to cooperate a little more in the space ventures that we're going on. But who knows? Like,
it looks like that stuff that you see on home shopping when you have a leak.
right.
In the side of your boat or something, and they say, hey, spray this stuff and your leak immediately disappears, like that.
Right.
It's some sort of like self-evolving foam.
Right.
Right? It kind of looks like that.
Yeah, it reminded me of I've seen like students, you know, like I guess they like to chew on stuff when they're in class because they got nothing better to do. It looked like an eraser that somebody had chewed on or something. I was like, I don't know. It's just a very strange form. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Like I said, if you kind of remove evolutionary constraints in design, like there's no telling what could be like a plausible design in the future for anything.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, exactly. Because it takes the restrictions, I guess, is maybe the word I'm looking for in this particular context.
Right. We wouldn't come up with a thing like that, I don't think.
Because we've never seen it before and our brains just don't head in that direction, right?
Exactly.
Interesting stories. All right, Casey, thank you so much. Always fun when you come to the studio for the Under the Radar news. Have yourself a delightful week. Enjoy that really gorgeous weather outside, and we'll see you again next time.
I'm going to take that ride today.
Oh, nice. The 5-minute little luxury ride.
That's
Enjoy it. All right. Stay with us for hour number 2. We'll wrap up the first today with this. It's the Jonas Brothers, Sucker.
We go together.
BEFM 부산 영어방송.
구 년 전, 한국에서의 새로운 출발을 위해 부산을 처음 찾은 프랭크. 부산의 자연과 사람, 부산에서 누리는 모든 것을 사랑하는 그는 부산의 변함없는 한대에 늘 감탄합니다.
I think that Busan people are actually very, very kind and very welcoming. If I seemed a little lost, there was always someone that was there to ask me if I needed help. They're more seriously friendly than it's very serious. I very seriously want to help you.
부산의 한결같은 모습도 늘 감동을 주지만 이제는 부산의 미래를 꿈꾸며 2030년 부산의 새로운 도약을 기대합니다.
Busan people are very proud of their city. They want to share the city with everyone. If we get the World Expo, it'll really put Busan on a global map.
세계 박람회가 어울리는 도시, 미래를 향한 힘찬 도약. 부산에서 출발한 파도는 이미 세계를 향해 뻗어나가고 있습니다. 2030 부산 세계 박람회. 부산이 시작하고 대한민국이 함께 이뤄갑니다. 이 캠페인은 지역과 함께하는 든든한 동반자 BNK 부산은행과 함께합니다.
괜찮아 괜찮아 조금 불편해도 환경을 위해 너무 괜찮아 일회용 컵 대신 머그컵 비닐봉지 대신 에코백 물티슈 대신 손수건 우리의 실천 하나하나 모여 세상을 바꿔요 깨끗한 세상 플라스틱 제로 일회용품 제로 함께해서 참 좋은 우리의 시민 불편한
이 캠페인은 부산환경공단이 함께합니다.
김밥가게 박 사장님도 문구점 김 사장님도 우리 부산의 경제를 움직이는 사람들. 우리 동네 작은 가게로 향하는 발걸음이 우리 부산의 경제를 키워가는 한 걸음입니다. 부산 방송광고 발전 협의회.
The time is now 3 o'clock.
You're listening to Steve Hatherly Reboot on BEFM 90.5. That was Celebration from Kool and the Gang, and that is a post-disco upbeat dance tune, and it was Kool and the Gang's only American #1 hit. We know, right? You'll hear that at weddings, anniversaries, parties, sporting events, proms. There's no proms in Korea, right? Not PD? There's no prom culture in Korea. Maybe that's because often boys' high schools and girls' high schools were separated, even still these days, but more so in the past, I guess, than these days. But yeah, no prom culture. That's one of the big differences, school culture differences, I guess, between the West and Korea. Yeah, that's a popular song to play at prom parties because obviously the kids are graduating, that they're celebrating that graduation. Yes, anytime there's a celebration, you're going to hear that song played, that's for sure. It's also appropriate at, I don't know, any place you need a good time vibe, right? If the mood is a little bit down, then just turn on that song and everybody will immediately smile and start dancing along. That got us into hour number 2 of Steve Hatherly Reboot on this Monday afternoon. How's your Monday going? Hope you're having a good afternoon. You're listening to us on BEFM 90.5 in Busan, 103.3 FM in the Gijang, Jongguan, and Noksan areas in Seoul. You're tuned in on TBS EFM 101.3 and in Gwangju on GFN 98.7. Thank you so much for staying with us. Coming up in hour number 2 today, before that, yeah, interesting conversation with Casey, wasn't it, about AI, and we hear about it so often in the news these days. It's every day, isn't it, almost, that we hear about it in the news. And Nur texted in and said, so if they're using AI for work, then what is the point of us human beings going to school and going to college and getting our certificates or our diplomas or our degrees? My poor parents, the message continues, they work so hard to pay for my school education, and then when I graduate, I won't be able to get a job because AI will overtake human jobs. You know, this started a long time ago. I remember my mom talking about this when in grocery stores, in like large grocery stores, not mom and pop shops, but the marts of the world, if you will, and the self-checkouts. Well, we have those in Canada too, and we've had them for a long time. And I remember my mom saying to me, when we would go grocery shopping together, and I would say, oh, let's go use that. That's cool, you know, because I was young. And my mom said, no, don't use those things. I said, why not? Is it dangerous or something? She said, no, it's just that those will take away human jobs. If the conglomerate figures out, oh, our customers can use this quickly and conveniently, then they will not need to have human employees at the checkout counters. So therefore, don't show the conglomerates that we want to use those. We have to show them that we want to use human beings so they can keep their jobs. And now we see that at the marts, and when we go to restaurants, some restaurants, right, we're seeing those touch screens where not only you can order, but in some places you have to order through those touch screens. And what's the point? They are going to be replacing people at some point. We're seeing coffee. I have a coffee shop right in front of my house now it's not staffed. There's no person working in there. When we went to Seoul and we stayed at a place on the first floor there was a robot coffee machine. Did I go there every day because it was super cool? Yes. Did I enjoy it? Yes. But still, that's not my point. It's not the point about being cool and fun. It's about the fact that there aren't people manning these stations anymore. I was talking to someone who worked in the food industry, and we were talking about fast food, and yeah, we have to order through these kiosks now. And they said, well, that's the first step. The next step is robots flipping burgers, and the fries in the back of the restaurant will be done by robots, will be cooked by robots. So we're headed in that direction. And I agree with you, Nur. I don't know. What would you tell a young person to study in school these days? If they're going to college right now, what should they study? AI? Before it was programming, right? Is it still programming or has that changed? I don't know, but it should be something tech related. That would be my advice for sure. Anyway, we have to stay afoot of this topic, don't we? We have to keep up with the news so that we know exactly what's going on with AI so that we can hopefully protect ourselves in the future. Nur also said, who knows, in the future, maybe Steve and his human friends will no longer be needed in radio. AI will replace them. Well, you joke, but that's already a possibility. I talked about this on the show, right? AI technology exists right now. All it would have to do would be take a sample of my voice and then write its own script. AI could write its own script based upon things that we've done on the show, use my voice in a little clip, and then replicate it to be able to host a show. They could do that right now if they wanted to. And it is cause for concern a little bit. I don't think we're there quite yet. In 5 years, I don't think so. 10 years, maybe. But there's still certain jobs, I think, that human beings want other human beings to do. And hopefully this is one of them. All right. Thanks for your messages on that topic, Nur. Getting into what's coming up in hour number 2 today. Our fun fact of the day. Did you know this? That it rains diamonds somewhere. I can't say somewhere on this planet because apparently that's not where it happens. We have to leave this planet to find that spot. But I'll tell you where it rains diamonds. And the cool thing is they're about the size that fit into the rings that we wear here on planet Earth. So that's kind of a fun story. That'll be our fun fact of the day. Then for me, myself, and I, we're going to talk about treat culture a little bit. And this is why I asked you the question that I'm asking you today for our question of the day. They say that indulging in small, affordable pleasures can help get you through a tough time. So we're not talking about taking luxurious trips. We're not talking about buying yourself a new car. No, we're talking about little tiny things that we will not even notice a dent in our wallet for if we purchase them. There's some science behind that, some psychology behind that says it can help us when we're feeling down. Then we'll move on to today in music. We'll find out what happened in today's music history, and I'll check your messages throughout the second hour of the show too. Question of the day today. When you want to give yourself a little tiny treat, what is it that you eat? Umberto says, I get myself a deep dish pizza, Chicago style. That's good. That's some good stuff. You get some sausage in there. Oh, just the basics, right? That basic Chicago style sausage and cheese and then tomato sauce. I don't need any don't put vegetables in my deep dish pizza. That's for another day. All I want, cheese, good. Sausage, good. Tomato sauce, good. I don't often eat Chicago deep dish pizza, but it's super, super good. That's a great answer, Umberto. 스스로를 대접하고 싶을 때 어떤 것을 먹나요? Think about that and then text me and tell me, what is that little thing that you eat? Or if you want, you can answer in another way. You can say the thing that you do or the place that you go. Somebody answered, everybody's answering food today, but feel free to answer in other ways as well, just like Chris did on Kakao Talk. He said, when I want to treat myself, hold on, I'm scrolling down. I go to Hatherly for a treat like some good food or some good coffee. Hatherly. I don't know where Hatherly. Please inform me, Chris, of where that is. It sounds like a good spot to go for a nice cup of coffee and maybe a little snack. Yes, great answers. That's what I'm talking about today. Send me yours. Pounder Sharp 9050. That will cost you 100 won. Add us on Kakao Talk for free and send us messages for free. Search BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean. Same search on your smartphone. You can download the app from any of the app stores. You can listen to our programs there and leave us some comments after logging in. All right, let's get to our expression today. It's from King the Land. I'm continuing on with this drama. And this scene is a continuation from what we did, I believe, last Friday. So the young woman came home from work. There she found her mother and father-in-law. They're just sitting in the living room doing nothing. They ate all the food that was in the fridge. So the father-in-law says, hey, we don't have any food right now. So aren't you going to go to the mart? And this is what the young woman says.
네, 얼른 다녀올게요.
She says, 네, yes. 얼른 다녀올게요. 얼른 다녀올게요. 올게요. All right, so the translation, this is very, very simple, by the way. Very, very simple. The translation was, I'll be back soon. So let's break it down bit by bit. 얼른 means 금방. That's another word that you can use. Or 빨리. That's another word that you can use, meaning quickly or soon. And then the next part, 다녀 올게요. That means to go and come back. So she's talking about going to the grocery store, right? Her father-in-law said to her, hey, we don't have any food. Aren't you going to go to the mart? And she said, yes, I will go and come back quickly, is basically what she said. So, 얼른, I asked Napiri, because when I use this expression sometimes, right? It's super, super, super common in Korean to say, oh, I'll go there and then I'll come back. In English, we don't express ourselves like that. We don't say, I'll go and come back quickly. But in Korean, that is exactly the way it is expressed. And it's really, really, really common. And 다녀 올게요 is a very common way to do that. In my opinion, as a Korean listener, I hear 갔다 올게요. 갔다 올게요. I hear that more commonly than I hear 다녀올게요 when we're talking about going to the store. But when I do hear 다녀올게요 more commonly is when we're talking about things like a vacation. I've heard this a lot. When someone is going to take a trip, then you'll hear this like 잘 다녀오세요. Have you heard that before? 잘 다녀오세요 means like go and come back well. That's the literal translation, I guess. But yeah, if someone's going to be having a trip overseas or a trip to Seoul or a trip somewhere, then you could say, 뭐 재밌게 노세요, 잘 다녀오세요, meaning go and come. And the translation, I guess, for that one in English would be maybe safe travels. If someone's going to go on a trip and you want to say something like that, like go and come back well, then in English, I guess you could say safe travels. Oh, you're taking a trip this weekend? Safe travels. Yeah, I think that's how we would express ourselves. But that's for a trip. Again, back to what she said. Oh, I'm going to go and come back from the mart quickly. She says, 네, 얼른 다녀올게요. Let's hear it one more time.
네, 얼른 다녀올게요.
네, 얼른 다녀올게요. Very good. Hopefully that helps out your Korean or your English, whichever one you happen to be learning. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll get into our fun fact of the day. We will be learning about the spot in this universe where it rains diamonds. There, I finally gave it away a little bit, didn't I? First, enjoy this. This is the Venga Boys, Sha-la-la, la-la. was the Venga Boys. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la. I don't know how many laws. I lost count of my laws. Sha and a few laws from the Venga Boys. Time now for our fun fact of the day. This story's a little bit old, but I hadn't heard this before, so I thought, maybe you haven't either. So I thought I'd share it with you today. They say diamonds big enough to be worn by Hollywood film stars could be raining down on Saturn and Jupiter, U.S. scientists calculated. Atmospheric data for the gas giants indicates that carbon is abundant in its dazzling crystal form, they say. Lightning storms turn methane into soot, or carbon, which as it falls hardens into chunks of graphite and then diamond, and these diamond hailstones eventually melt into a liquid sea in the planet's hot cores. That's the start and finish of it, I suppose. The biggest diamonds would likely be about 1 centimeter in diameter. That is big enough to put on a ring, although, of course, they would be uncut. That's a quote from Dr. Kevin Baines of the University of Wisconsin-Madison and also NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. He added that they would be of a size that the late film actress Elizabeth Taylor would have been, quote, proud to wear. The bottom line, they say, is that about 1,000 tons of diamonds a year are being created on Saturn. And he said in his quote, people ask me all the time, how can you really tell? Because there's no way that you can go there and observe it. And he said, well, it all boils down to chemistry, and we think we're pretty certain we have the answer. So Uranus and Neptune, these are the areas that have long been thought to harbor gemstones. But Saturn and Jupiter were not thought to have suitable atmospheres. Baines and Dolitsky, that's another person involved in the study, analyzed the latest temperatures and pressure predictions for the planet's interiors at the time. Again, this story is a few years old, as well as the new data that was available to them on how carbon behaves in different conditions. They concluded that stable crystals of diamond will hail down over a huge region of Saturn in particular. All right, so how does all this work? Well, they say it all begins in the upper atmosphere in the thunderstorm alleys, where lightning turns methane into soot. And as the soot falls, the pressure on it begins to increase. And after about 1,000 miles, it turns to graphite. Graphite is that sheet-like form of carbon that you'd find in like a pencil, for example. But by a depth of 6,000 kilometers, these chunks of falling graphite, they toughen into diamonds, very strong and very unreactive. And these continue to fall for another 30,000 kilometers. And once you travel that far down to those extreme depths, the pressure and temperature is so strong that there's no way that the diamonds could remain solid. So it's very uncertain, the scientists say, what happens to carbon at that point down there. But one possibility is that there is a sea of liquid carbon that could form. Diamonds are not forever, I guess, on Saturn and Jupiter, but they are on Uranus and Neptune, which are colder at their cores. So I guess when the diamonds form and fall, they just stay there. Wow, a literal diamond mine. The findings, they were not peer-reviewed at the time, but other planetary experts were contacted by big media outlets, and they said the possibility of diamond rain cannot be dismissed. It's pretty cool to know, is it not? Why are we paying? I mean, it's not like it's close. It's not like we can get in the car and go to Saturn, but still, why are we paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for something that can simply be picked up off the ground in another location? It makes us feel a little bit silly, does it not? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I've never really bought into the whole, spend 3 months' salary on a diamond or 6 months' salary or whatever it is that they say. Anyway, that is your fun fact for today. When we come back, we'll talk about treat culture in Me, Myself, and I. Let's enjoy this first. This is Kane, Rain Down on Me. That was Kane, Rain Down on Me, and now it's time for me, myself, and I. And we're going to talk about treat culture today. And the reason that I wanted to bring this up as a topic is because I don't think it's new information that I'm going to be sharing with you. We all know that treating ourselves to a little, something sometimes feels good. It feels nice. But I wanted to talk about it because I wanted to remind us, and myself included, that it really does have an impact on our own psychology. So let's get into it a little bit. Life today, we know, it's really, really stressful, right? And after the pandemic started, social media started flooding with coping mechanisms and well-being trends to help people manage their emotions and their worries about the state of the world. You may have also heard of a life hack, buying yourself a little treat. Inflation and high cost of living is putting holidays and luxury goods out of reach for a lot of people around the world. And in their place, little indulgences like coffees and ice cream or lipstick or face masks can deliver pleasure in mini doses, micro doses, if you will. Treats are not an expensive thing, nor are they a huge commitment. The ideal treat place might be a shop within walking distance of your home or of your office. For me, it's on the first floor of my building, inside the refrigerator of the Pyeongjam, and its name is Peanut Butter Cup Ice Cream. Have you heard? Do you know about this? It's new. I think it's new. It's new to me. I tried it for the first time last week, and I was like, oh, my goodness, what is this? It's amazing. If you like chocolate peanut butter cups and you like ice cream, then imagine those two heavenly worlds combined, because that's exactly what it is. But this is what I'm talking about today. The reason I went down to the store in the first place to get some ice cream for myself and my wife is that night we were working hard, and we just kind of stopped, put our pens down, and thought, how about a little treat? How about a little snack? So we went down to get some ice cream together. It's a good idea, right? Well, treat culture, like I said, it's not a new concept. You may have heard it called the lipstick index. Have you heard of that before? The lipstick index is a theory that consumers buy low-cost luxuries to boost their moods in difficult times. There is a wealth of research on what they call compensatory consumption. Compensatory consumption, where people spend money to deal with perceived threats to maybe their self-esteem or their self-confidence or their happiness. They're compensating financially for something that they're missing, maybe in their self-confidence or their self-esteem. Treat culture, though, is a form of retail therapy. I guess it's a little tiny bit different because you're not necessarily going to buy a new wardrobe for yourself. It's a focus on small, inexpensive purchases rather than going on a big shopping spree. There was research done, and they researched how consumers use shopping to cope with difficult times. And during the pandemic, when people were restricted from dining out, for example, they would instead buy higher quality items at the grocery store. Eating better at home, even if the cost was higher than the usual shop, was this kind of compensatory shopping. They were eating better at home to compensate for the fact that they couldn't go out to treat themselves. Really interesting, right? And I don't know, I was trying to think, did I do that too? And I don't know if I did that. Started eating better quality meals at home because we couldn't go out, or I couldn't go out to the restaurants at the time. Treat culture isn't just about the treat itself either. It's about the emotional experience. That is how you feel about purchasing and having the treat. It's not just about eating it. It's not just about buying it. It's about the experience of it, the ability to go there and buy it and enjoy it. Because remember, we're not talking about expensive things here. One report pointed out the phrasing of buying yourself a little treat reflects an element of cuteness that makes you feel good as well, right? Think about that. The words that we use to describe this little indulgence makes it feel like it's not a big thing. And by using that word little, it makes us feel even better about it because we know we're not spending a lot of money, and it adds an element of cuteness to it as well, which we, as human beings, really, really enjoy. Cuteness can prompt powerful emotions of happiness and remind us of nurturing and protective qualities. So in a way, partaking in treat culture is a way to nurture ourselves. There's also a connection between cuteness and consumption. For example, in Japanese culture, where the popularity of certain products, cute products, is driven by a consumer desire to cope with stress and reconnect with their childhood self. So the next time when you're thinking, oh, maybe I'll just go get myself a little coffee, and use that word little. Maybe I'll get myself a little donut, right? After lunch, maybe I'll treat myself to a little donut. Use those words and actually go and do it. Because when we create an air of cuteness to it, and then we actually go through with the process and we enjoy it all the way to the end, to the consumption, then it really does have a powerful impact on how we feel about ourselves. And that's why I wanted to bring it in today. We know about it, we're aware of this, but I wanted to remind ourselves that it really, really does have an impact. So if you're having a tough day on this Monday afternoon, go treat yourself to a little coffee or a little cup of tea or a little snack. How about a little bit of chocolate to make yourself feel better before your workday finishes? That's me, myself, and I for today. We'll have a break, and when we come back, we'll have time for Today in Music. Here is Lady Gaga, Just Dance. That was Just Dance by Lady Gaga, and now it's time for Today in Music, where we'll look back on the calendar on this particular day to see what we can musically see. October 16th today. Wow, we are halfway through the month of October already. More than halfway through, I guess. And we'll start in 1972. CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival, split up following the failure of their most recent album, Mardi Gras, after limited success of a solo act and some legal hassles with Fantasy Records. John Fogerty would have two big hits in 1985. One was Center Field, and the other was Rock and Roll Girls. John's brother Tom Fogerty died in September of 1990, and the surviving members have been touring as CCR, but not the original title, Creedence Clearwater Revisited, not Revival. In 1982, Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You, a number one country hit in 1974, went back to the top spot thanks to its use in the movie The Best Little in Texas. This makes it the first song to top the chart twice. The reason I said is because the word in the title of the film isn't necessarily friendly for radio at 3:30 in the afternoon. You can look that up in your own time. In 1988, Whitney Houston had her third UK number one single with One Moment in Time. The song was recorded to celebrate the Seoul Olympic Games of 1988. In 1993, Aretha Franklin sang the U.S. national anthem in Toronto before Game 1 of the World Series between the Blue Jays and the visiting Philadelphia Phillies. In 2001, two security guards were sacked after refusing to allow Bob Dylan into his own concert. Dylan, who had demanded that security on his Love and Theft tour should be tighter than ever, didn't have a pass when he arrived backstage. So security said, you're not going up there, even though it was Bob Dylan himself. In 2017, and we'll stop here today, Ed Sheeran broke his wrist and elbow in a biking accident, forcing him to cancel dates on his tour of Asia. He called his time off the most depressing 6 weeks of my life. Those are today's fun little facts about Today in Music. We have time for two songs, so let's hear both of them. From the artists that we talked about, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Proud Mary, and then Whitney Houston, One Moment in Time. Whitney's always good, huh? Always good. I asked you today, that was One Moment in Time, by the way, and before that, CCR, Proud Murray. I asked you today about little treats and stuff, but we were also talking about AI with Casey in the first hour, and then in the second hour at the top, I was saying, yeah, maybe, someday my job will disappear. And 3413 said, wait, what if AI Steve is on air right now? Here's my answer. You will never know. Beep, burp. Don't worry, it's me. I think you'll know, won't you? If suddenly I'm a lot more intelligent, then you'll know. Something's happened to the Steve OG, the OG Steve. There you go. That'll do it for the program for today. Fun one this afternoon. I very much enjoyed that. I hope you did as well. Thank you to Casey for today's Need to Know. Thank you to you, as always, for your listenership and your participation. I've been your host, AI Steve. Or I don't know, which am I? And we'll wrap it up today with Iggy Pop, The Passenger. Enjoy that. Have a really wonderful day today, and let's reboot again tomorrow, shall we?